Go.
Welcome, welcome. We got Brody Rivers joining us on the podcast today. Brody, this is going to be such a fun interview. Of course, I got to meet you and we hung out at
Yes.
T3R in Arlington. We were just together just a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and you've got a lot of stuff going on, and I can't wait to dig into your story. So let's go ahead and jump in. So, actually, you have only been doing music for a few years, correct?
I started my band last year of April.
Yes. Okay.
Mm.
Prior to that, let's talk about how you learned how to play guitar. I ran across that
Yeah.
story. You got to tell everyone about that.
So guitar I picked up in college, which was about less than 4 years ago. And from there, I started off with this guitar that had one string on it. And I learned how to play with my thumb first because like it only had one, so I was playing like that. And then I just went to YouTube and started learning more and just took off from there.
So in just a few years that you've been doing this, not only have you've put out successful radio singles, you've
hmm
recorded an EP that we're going to talk about, that you put the band together. And
hmm
then also, if you want to talk about this a little bit, you jumped into the American Idol thing.
Yes, that is correct. I did
So what
go
was
there.
your takeaway from that? What was maybe some of the lessons learned, or just the networking that you got from that?
I think my takeaway from that is it showed me where I could be, like where I should be going and what steps I should be taking to get there again, but consistently on that same level, like all the time. You know what I mean? And like just getting that feeling of being there with like, people like Luke Bryan, Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, like to be able to be on that level consistently, like that's where I want to be at. If that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Yes.
So that's what I'm striving to do right now. Like I mean, although I didn't make it to where as far as I wanted to get, it pushes me to just get further out there than ever before, if that makes sense.
Mhm. So your process of putting everything together in such a short time, what
Mhm.
was the catalyst for that? Did you have a source? Did you have someone in the music industry, another musician, or someone, coaching you, like helping you along? Because you've put together a lot in just a few short years.
Yeah, I mean, really everything has been me just working at it, like to push out as far as I can. Like I think when I first, I mean, like I think it was what 2023 is when I met you, but like unofficially kind of way. It was at the first Texas Radio
Yes.
Region.
Hmm.
But when I went there the first time, that was me like networking like crazy, like passing out like over 400 cards to everyone and like just trying to get my name out there like 100%. And I think me just pushing that hard and having that grind like to get there, like finally got my name out just a little bit more and a little bit more to where like this next time, like when I saw you and actually talked with you more, like I actually felt like I was meant to be there more than I was last year, if that makes sense. And it was just, it felt good.
Yes.
So
Well, it was,
majority of it
yeah.
has been me pushing just as hard as I can, really.
Yeah. In our, I call it a Texas country family, that
Mhm.
whole industry thing that we have going on is such a good source and is such a good support for Texas
Mhm.
artists.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. All right. So you have an EP out, Stepping Stones. It's got 5 songs on it. What was your
Mhm.
process on selecting the songs for that and recording, production, all the story behind it?
The process for it, mostly, I mean, when I write my songs, and I'm sure it's for every other musician as well, like it's something that they're going through in that moment. So those songs specifically, like it's like I tried to place them in an order where like it's a guy going through a breakup and then trying to get over it and then finally finding himself at the end of it just breaking through out of it, like, and then the whole process of it is a complete like stepping stone, like you have to go through these steps in order to keep on continuing on and live like a better life after that, and
Hmm.
just everything in life is a stepping stone to where you want to get to. But the process for picking those songs, I mean, so 4 of those I wrote myself. One of them I had help with. His name was Patrick Dodge and Victoria Banks. They're over in Nashville, and then they wrote the song "Like the Rain."
Hmm.
And that one's just a beautiful song. But that was more or less the process, like connecting with them as well to get that out there.
Yes, Like the Rain was on my list. That's a gorgeous song. And okay,
Yeah.
so current radio single, Buying My Way to Debt. That one got my attention. We actually featured that on Texas on Tap. What a great
Yeah.
job on that one. I love the whole twist on it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So how long ago did you write that one?
That one, believe it or not, I wrote that one. When did I write that one? I was in San Antonio. I wrote that one in like 25 minutes, I think.
Dang.
And I remember I was just sitting in a living room and I was just there. And I think it was like late at night, like 12 p.m. And it just came to me real fast. I was okay, like this is like my first kind of upbeat song because usually I write a lot of like slower, sad songs. And I was like, okay, well, here we go. Like I finally have something like a little more upbeat, more happier, like where people can dance to. And I was just super excited writing it. And yeah, that one I took about 25 minutes to write. I remember that.
Well, so were you into music when you were young? I mean, when did you find your voice?
Not at all. I mean, I started my senior year of high school. I had this friend. He noticed that I had a real low voice in the morning, and he asked me. He was like, "Do you think you can try singing that Josh Turner song, like the Baby Locked Indoors?" And I was like, "Yeah, let me try." And I did it. And he's like, "Dude, you have a real good voice." And I was like, "Well, what should I do with it?" And that was my senior year of high school. Like I never sung. Like no one in my family does music. Nobody pursued that. Everyone kind of thought, "Oh, this isn't a job. This isn't something you can pursue. Like, why are you doing that?" And so once I got to college, kind of on my own, where no one had that judgment on me, I started getting more into it, and it just led to here. I mean, it's been a roller coaster.
That's amazing. That is just that's so unique for someone that doesn't come from a
Mhm.
family of musicians or
Yeah.
songwriters or, because normally there are a lot of our Texas artists that started
Mhm.
singing in college while they were in college, but they
Yeah.
came from watching mama or daddy sing or grandma or
Yeah.
grandpa, and not the case with you totally.
I didn't have that.
Had you
Not
ever
at all.
do you read music?
No,
Nope.
I not nothing at all.
Okay, well, you're doing excellent consider I mean, that's the thing that just amazes me because 'cause you're not the
Yeah.
only one. There's a lot in the business, and that's
Mhm.
just a dang natural gifted talent. That's awesome.
It's been fun. Like it's been growing up. I never thought I wanted to do that. Like I always wanted to be. Well, quite frankly, when I was like little, I wanted to grow up and be one of those monster truck drivers. That was my dream. And then after that, it was just baseball and wanted to be a physical therapist.
Uh-huh.
And music came out of nowhere. It just happened. Like it was weird.
So where did you go to college at?
In San Antonio over at UTSA.
Okay, awesome. That's a great school. And you grew up in Rio Hondo, right?
Yes.
You still live in there.
Yes.
That's your hometown. So what was it
Mm.
like for you growing up in your hometown? I love the hometown stories,
It
you
is
know me.
probably the smallest town in here in Texas. Honestly, there's like 2,000 people total, and all we have is a Stripes. We just got a Dollar General like 2 weeks ago.
Finally, y'all got one. Everybody's got the DG.
Yeah, we got a Dollar General 2 weeks ago, and we have a Subway.
How far away is like the biggest place to go shop?
Like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too
Yeah,
bad.
no, it's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, all of I mean, like, for me, it takes me 20, 30 minutes to get into now, we do have a DG here in Matagorda now, finally,
Yeah.
but I have to drive about 40 minutes or so to get to where real grocery
Oh,
stores are, like HEB or Walmart, stuff
dear,
like that, so
that's ridiculous.
it is ridiculous, but I like where I live. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. Have you ever wondered how artists like Treaty Oak Revival, Red Clay Strays, and Aaron Watson maintain the high quality and high demand for their merchandise? CH Lone Star Promo is the answer. Created in Texas to serve Texas artists, and they're currently offering 15% off on all merch orders from musicians. Visit chlonestarpromo.com to get started and tell them Texas Toast sent you.
I was reading the other day that it takes at least $1 million to break an artist. That's a ton of change, and it can feel overwhelming. But with social media leveling the playing field, you just need an effective strategy to release your music. Check out Release Rocket to ensure your single does not die after release day. You've already put time, effort, and tons of money into writing and recording your album. Let the guys at Release Rocket keep your new release alive.
So, looking at your band, let's tell me about your band and how you found the members and put that together.
So my fiddle player is the one that found me first. So back in 2020, I think during COVID,
Mhm.
that's when I started posting a lot of videos on Facebook just because it's like, I mean, there was nothing else to do. Like we couldn't go out and do anything. And what just so happened, one of those, it was like in March of 2020, Cody Johnson had shared one of my posts on his page.
Mhm.
And from there, the fiddle player had reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I saw you sing. You have a real good voice. Do you want to join my band?" And his band, it was called the South Texas Ramblers. And I mean, it was more of like it was a starting band where we started off seeing like at what are they called, like those retirement places, and the anyways, we would sing like a bunch of times to those older people. And from there on out, I was like, you know what, I don't think I can do this that much more. So then I ended up joining another band, but they were super heavy on drinking, and I honestly don't really drink at all. Like you'll see
Mhm.
me drink 2 to 3 times a year maybe, and at the Texas Country Music Awards, that was one of them. So like that's one off my list right there. And I just didn't like that they drank every single show. I was like, no, I can't do this. And then I took a year off, started my own band, um, ended up bringing back my fiddle player. So he ended up
Right.
joining mine. And I got this bass player. His name's David. He's super awesome. Like he has his own sound engineering company too and everything. So he helped out with that like 100%. Like we use his audio, everything. So we have this drummer. He's 18 years old, super good. He's doing great. I mean, from what he said, he knows like 5,000 songs. I mean, I don't know if someone can know that many songs, but that's what he
That's a
says he
lot.
knows. Yeah, and I was
Wow.
like, dude, I only know like 50, maybe 50 to 70 off the top of my head. He's like, no, I know about 5,000. I was like, there's no way. and then and then my guitarist, his name's also David. But there, so I got two Davids on the team, and they're awesome. My band's awesome. I love them. They're basically family.
Well, that's a great story, and I love how you took control of your own destiny. You took
Yeah.
control of this is not the right environment for me, and
Mm,
and then how everybody just came together. So again,
yeah.
everything just moving in the right direction for you, Brody.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm around all that stuff every weekend, like the drinking, all that stuff. But it's just for me to do it. I mean, I honestly don't need it. You truly don't need it. Like you can still have fun without it. So I just don't do it. Just
Mhm.
regular, rarely.
Good for you. Let's talk about another song off the EP. I'm not the man I was. I think you kind of
Yes.
had made reference to that song going into talking about the EP.
Yeah. So that one's my favorite one. I think honestly, just because that one tells my story more specifically. Um, but and that's the one I'm trying to push out right now more like digital marketing wise.
Hmm.
So like we've been trying to set up like pushing it out like crazy and stuff, and which we're gonna go record some more videos right after this. So like every Tuesday we're recording videos for like all the videos and the new ones coming up. But yeah, that one's probably my favorite one. But the reason why we didn't use that one for radio is because it's just a little too long. That's why. That's
Right.
it. Yeah.
It is a great song, and as far as your current radio single, you nailed it on that one. Now, you did do
Mm,
good with your first radio single, which I thought
mm.
was an excellent song, "Calm Me Down."
Yeah. That one is really good too. That one I
So,
wrote more in the happier times of when I was with that person, but I'm no longer with. So it like doesn't phase me anymore. It's just in the past now. But yeah,
okay. So we're this far along. How is your booking schedule coming along?
my booking schedule. Oh my gosh, it is ridiculous right now. It is ridiculous. I think there's one week in May where I have like 7 shows in one week.
Uh-huh.
And it's a good thing, but at the same time, like my vocals are tired after the third one. They're done.
Hmm.
But it's I'm booked all the way till November right now, so it's going pretty good. So after that, I'm like
That's good.
I'm just playing it all by ear at this point. Whatever happens,
Okay.
but
And so through all this, I'm assuming that you're still writing new music and making plans to
mhm,
record some new stuff. So tell me how
yes.
that's going.
So right now, We have 5 new songs that we're working on finishing up, but I want to release an album like probably beginning of next year, January, and then have a couple like singles throughout this year, just to keep it going. But the next big step, which is also we're gonna start like next week, we're starting this whole Kickstarter campaign too.
Oh, cool.
So
Tell us all about that.
yeah, so that's where this gets all super tricky because like I know where I want to be, but it's just how do I get there? Like where do I invest most of my time into? You know what I mean? And so right now we're working on starting the Kickstarter campaign. We're gonna start that hopefully by the end of next week because it's already pretty much done. But we're looking to get a whole PR group, a digital marketing team, um, you know, basically everything you need to like succeed on a national level. And that's the next step right now. But it's gonna get crazier after that.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just I've been waiting already like 2 months for this to get started, and finally next week is when we're gonna start it all. So
Okay,
that's
we'll be following along with that. That'll be
yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
Yes, good
Um,
stuff. Good stuff. So I noticed that you have had some time to work some golf in, Mr. Golfer.
oh my goodness, yeah. I don't
Tell
know if
me
you can,
about it.
but which hand looks darker?
Well, yes.
I've been playing too much. Oh my! I go every day. Yeah, I'll admit I go every day. It's
Well,
bad.
well, there was a time in my life, kind of, before kids, before family, before
Mm.
some wreck marriages, before all that, golfing was my thing. There's just something, and
Really?
I think that's why I like fishing too. There's something
Yeah.
about you and that ball. You
Hmm.
and that ball, it's gonna go where I want it to go. I
Yeah.
was pretty good back in the day. I loved it, but it's an expensive sport to play.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you have no idea. It is. It is expensive, but it's what gets me out of the house. It gets me like whenever I don't feel like riding or something, or I'm just like, you know what, I need to put my guitar down because my fingers hurt. I just go to the course
Mhm.
and that's it. But yeah, I started end of January this year, and I'm hooked on it completely to the max.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess I could say too, fishing's a pretty expensive sport too. I invest a lot of money in because I fish artificial, so I'm paying expensive money for lures. Then you
That's
put
why like
gas in the boat. Then I fish these tournaments. I'm paying all this money for
yeah,
tournaments, and then we got to get the shirts done and get the caps done. But
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, yeah.
It's like I see fishing expense wise exactly the same as golf because I mean the golf ball is basically your lure. So whenever you lose
Yes.
it, you're out money, right? And it's the same thing. So yeah, I can see how that's expensive too. 100%.
Yes. Okay. So, any big shows coming up for you that you're going to be opening for maybe some of your favorites, or is there just a particular show maybe that's on your radar you want to talk about, let everybody know
So
about?
I got connected with our local like teams here in the valley, and since everything's been finally like starting off for me, like they give me the opportunity to start opening for bigger acts like here in the valley. So it's just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of when the next person comes in, and then we're gonna start doing that consistently. So I'm just waiting on that on when like they're gonna start bringing in new people because I think their next event, which was already too early for me to like book it, was on May 11th, which is like in 2 weeks. So they have Midland coming over, and they were like, okay, well, we didn't really hear about you until like a month ago, so we already had someone for it. So, but the next time something comes up, we're gonna definitely call you. So I'm waiting on that. But
Oh,
then
wow.
as far as like, I had this talk the other day where like someone asked me like, are you gonna start playing like all over Texas and stuff? I'm like, man, I told him like I'd love to, but at the same time, you don't really need to anymore. If that makes sense. So like more of how I'm trying to do this is like I'll play locally, but since we're gonna start working for the Kickstarter stuff and everything, like everything's just gonna get poured into digitally, so everyone can see it 100%. And
Yes.
that's just how it is now. I mean, that's how it's going.
Well, and
So
that's a good way too. That's how you develop and build your fan base so that when
mm,
you do expand to other parts, they know.
yeah, exactly. And then I'll tour after that. Once we finish all that,
Right, right.
baby
Okay.
steps.
Well, I would say that you've done a good job. I mean, it's just amazing the story. I mean, we're looking at what, 3 or 4 years and you've already accomplished all this. So I can't
Yeah,
wait to fast forward 6 months down the road or this time next year
yeah,
to see. I just know it's going to be great things going on for you.
yeah. It's gonna be a good year. It is. It already has been, but yeah, I'm ready for it.
Okay. And secondly, you got the most awesome name around, Brody Rivers.
Yeah, it's weird.
Would you would expound on that? I'm just
Yeah,
so
no,
curious. I love it because I love it.
getting called bro all the time is just, oh gosh, yeah. It's cool, but then it's annoying sometimes too.
Yeah, I know that when my son was in school, we had a lot of Brodies. He had a lot of friends named Brody.
Yeah, it's just everyone's like, bro. Like, I mean, like they might not be talking to me, but someone else is talking. Like, bro, like what's going on? It's like, oh, you what? Like me? Oh, I do. It's like, okay, okay, thanks.
No, we mean like Brody, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that maybe I haven't covered that you want to make sure you get the word out to everyone?
Mm, I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm just ready to go to the Texas Country Music Awards in November. I already saved the dates. I'm like, I'm not gonna book anything for those. And then I don't know. And then CMA Fest. I'm gonna see if I can go to that too. I'm waiting for that.
Oh, yeah, that'll be cool. And
Yeah.
of course, even cooler is TCMA's in November because I will be back this year. Last year I was out because Cat Ron was having the heart surgery,
Hmm.
but we will be back there, and I'll be co-hosting on the red carpet and doing all
Sweet.
that stuff. Yeah, have a great time. That is just like I'm already counting down to
Yeah.
October for some other stuff, and then especially November, and I'll be seeing you there for sure. So, okay, well, thank you. It's so nice
Yeah.
that we finally got to get you on the
Yeah.
podcast, y'all, and I've got to hang out with Brody Rivers, and you're just so much fun to be around. And I don't know if you noticed, I got my Bubba Wesley hat
Yeah.
on. Bubba was here. I saw Bubba Saturday.
I'm gonna have to get you a hat. I'm gonna call Bubba right now. I'm like, hey, you
Yeah,
can't be
isn't
kicking
it
her.
the coolest? Isn't this the coolest hat ever?
It
Holy
is.
moly! I was just like, what? Man, he did good on that design because I
Yeah.
love this print. So
He's a.
yeah, I'll be.
Yeah, I gotta
He's
send you
some.
a. Me and him took over at the Texas Regional Radio Awards. We took the funniest picture. I posted it, but you probably hadn't seen it yet. It was funny.
Probably not. Oh, y'all
Uh,
were so funny. We had such a good time. And then who was that poor guy that wasn't even a part of the awards, and he was asking questions and all I could do was show him fishing pictures. I don't know if you were there. And I
I don't
was
know.
it was
I don't think
crazy.
I'm there for that.
It's always a fun time. Yeah, I was just pulling people in, and then I started having to preach to him about Texas music. And then I think
Yeah.
Ron brought up something about fishing, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So he just opened that whole can of worms. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. But anyway, it was funny. So yeah,
Uh,
that's how you make new friends. And we had
yeah.
such a good time, such a good time. We could go on and on about that. So, all right, Brody, well, keep up the good work, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll catch up again right here on the Texas Toast Podcast.
Sounds good to me.